Hello and welcome to All Round Mine. I'm Arielle Free.
And I'm George Lawton.
And this is the podcast where we dive into our favourite celebrities' homes and have a good old nosy around.
We do indeed. We take a look around those glamorous homes, and you can have a look too over on Primark's YouTube channel.
Now, we've had some pretty fabulous guests on this podcast, haven't we?
We have.
I think it's safe to say that we've peaked with our guest today. She has been entertaining us across TV, radio and journalism for over 30 years and is the most fabulous person I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. It's wonderful, Vanessa Feltz.
Oh, hey. I was wondering who you were going to introduce. That could possibly be me. I was looking around for Joanna Lumley to come walking in or something.
You are hands down one of my favourite people. I'm so glad you're on All Round Mine.
Thank you very much for asking me. I'm really pleased to be here.
And
Thank you.
Extremely excited to have a look round your home. Are you ready to go round?
Yes, and I've got to say, the problem with making these little films for you was just trying to limit them, because I had so many different places to film. I was like, oh my God, where do I even start? So I do hope you like it.
Okay.
I'm so excited. Let's go all round yours.
Right.
One of the rooms that I like best in my house is my bathroom, partly because my bath is like that. It has an op-art cartoon and it says, splish splash, I was taking a bath, all about a Saturday night. So that's my bath, rather nifty. It's got lighting along the bottom of it, a shower next to it, roses, fresh ones, and all the shampoo and everything decanted into a crystal decanter, so it's extra specially nice. Heart-shaped soap, and then this is my beautiful pink glass basin. This is a very pretty, it's actually an old-fashioned hot water bottle. You filled it with boiling water and took it to bed with you. Bought for me by David Guest. This is a little Lalique man and woman statue. Tiny one. Some very nice Aesop soap. And some pretty heart-shaped soap here. That's a dried hydrangea from my garden. And here's the shower. And that is my bathroom. I'm also very keen on my kitchen, which is, as you see, kind of continues the pink theme. This is me. There's a cartoon illustrating an article about me in the Radio Times, and it shows me floating in a pool full of chicken soup. So that's rather nice. And then all the way round is the skyline of London. And if you just keep on following it round, eventually you get to my house, which is here. That's my house in the skyline of London. As you go round the kitchen, that's the London Eye. Keeps on going round. So that's the kitchen, all nice and pink. So I really like that. And the other thing I like in my house is a beautiful Victorian chaise longue, which actually I've recovered loads of times. At the moment it's covered in a sort of Devoré crushed velvet in a pink. The wallpaper's all lilies. And there you see a picture of both my daughters on their wedding days and a lovely antique mirror. And those two sort of units, those shelves, I bought at Liberty, the department store. One day they just seemed to not want them anymore. And I said, could I buy them? And they said, yes. And then there's a little footstool down there, which is little tiny roses, all appliqued, just one rose after another. So I quite like the whole look of, you know, the chaise longue and those nice units from Liberty, the antique mirror, and then the pictures of my daughters on their wedding day. And then you go up and it's a conservatory with lily wallpaper. Another part of my house that I especially like is my bedroom. And you can see the bed, it's pink velvet, very pretty. And on the bed, lovely white fur bedspread, two cushions saying love and love. And in the middle, cushion with names of all different flowers on it, zinnia, aster, larkspur, camellia and rose. So this is the bed. And above it, there's a picture of me and my two girls giving me a kiss on each cheek. And if you come whizzing around the bedroom, that's the window. If you come whizzing around, you can see this lovely poster that Nerily, my granddaughter, just gave me for my birthday. She made it for me. And it's all different pictures of me with my children and my grandchildren, all different special moments and memories. So I really, really like it. And there, of course, is the television.
Wow.
Such a gorgeous home.
I think this
I was
is...
watching it, I was like, oh, that looks nice.
So tidy.
It's
So
nice and tidy, yes.
It's the first time that I think I've been kind of lost for words for a home on
Really?
the podcast before. It's so sort of unique and distinctively you, really.
Do you think so?
Yes,
I mean,
I
from
think.
the outside, it was built in 1815.
Wow.
And it's a Gothic folly, a Victorian Gothic folly. So it looks a bit like a Gothic castle, but it's small. It's not a huge castle at all. It's quite a small house. It's not huge at all.
It's in your the painting along your kind of sideboards, wasn't
Exactly.
it?
So it's got turrets and it's got lots of arches and it's got a great big kind of dome on the front, a kind of glass dome with wonderful sort of lilies in the glass. So it's a very unusual house, but not grand. It's as you can see, none of the rooms are big or anything. In fact, the late Michael Winner, the late great film director Michael Winner said, "I've been to your house, too many small rooms." That's what he said. And actually, there aren't that many. They are small and there aren't that many. But so it is a very individual house from the outside, and I'm pleased that you think it looks individual from the inside.
Yeah,
It
well,
really
I
does.
mean, we
Nice.
dived straight into your bathroom. That bath alone, I've never seen anything like that. Was that the comic book, the pop
Yes,
art?
op
Sorry,
art,
yeah,
yes.
the pop art. That was. So
Well,
was
that's
that
meant to be
specially
me in
made?
the bath, but
Was
it's a cartoon.
it?
Yes, an artist painted it.
So incredible.
And it's got the Bobby Darin lyrics in the kind of speech bubbles next to it.
We had a previous guest, Melvin O'Doom. He had
Melvin,
a bath with cowhide on the side, which we've never seen. I thought that was the most unique bath we've seen. I think you probably win now. But he would rub his cowhide bath for good luck. Do you?
Gosh.
Don't suppose you do that
So
with
you've
your
not been rubbing
pop
your
art?
bath?
Good luck, I must say. I normally just bath in it. And occasionally, obviously, get filmed for Instagram in it, having a bath.
Great.
Because that one went over big. The one of me singing Girls Just Want to Have Fun with a delicious champagne cocktail and sunglasses in the bath at Ben film. That was a good one, yeah.
A beautiful bathroom. You obviously love the colour pink.
I do.
I like that. It's a theme throughout the
I
whole
really
house.
do. And I come from a generation where, you know how these days they say, oh, what's all this pink for girls? There shouldn't be so much pink. And why do
love
they do
pink.
that? But it didn't exist when I was a girl. So,
Yeah.
so when I was a little girl, your best party dress might well be something like green velvet or something horrid like that. And I was always just hankering for pink the whole time. And there just wasn't sufficient pink in the world to satisfy my desire for pink. So that, I suppose, is why. The house has become pinker gradually over years.
Well-
I didn't just make it all pink at the beginning. It was sort of, but that's what I really wanted.
Does
then.
Ben, because you live with your partner, your fiancé Ben,
live with
does
Ben,
he
yeah.
get involved with the pink? Is he an equal fan of
He
pink?
describes himself as metrosexual. He's been known to wear pink shirts, even pink jumpers. You know, he loves, I mean, I wouldn't say that if you gave him a chance to decorate a house, he would necessarily make it pink, but he
Yeah.
doesn't seem to mind. He certainly doesn't object to the pink.
So would you say that you rule the roost when it comes to the interior decorating?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where do you get your inspo from? Is it just things that you cook up in your mind, or are you on Pinterest? Or
I do really love interior design magazines. I do keep them. I have stacks of them. I like them all. And in fact, I like the less expensive ones and the expensive ones because I think there can be great ideas absolutely everywhere. I just comb, I like museums to look for ideas. I like postcards. I like nature. Obviously, that really helps. Fashion. I just like the kind of fusion of the whole kind of visual look. And I want it to look like my own personality, but also eclectic and layered and interesting and not as if it's a showroom and you've got everything on the same day,
Yeah.
kind of that kind of thing.
And you've got so many unique pieces of furniture. Like the chaise longue is incredible. Where do you find all these
Yes, I found that in an
things?
antique shop in
you?
Highgate, but years ago. I reckon about nearly 30 years ago.
Wow.
And as I say, I've had it recovered maybe 3 or 4 times in that time. It's been beige, it's been brocade, it's been a much darker kind of magenta, and now it's a kind of almost like a shocking pink, but
Yeah,
sort
it's
of dull
gorgeous.
because it's velvet. It's just very glamorous, isn't it? I just love it.
I need to ask you about those shelves that you mentioned next to the chaise longue. So you went into Liberty and
They were ex-display. They weren't for sale. They weren't being sold by Liberty. Liberty had used them to display, I think, fabric or something. And as I happened to go in, they happened to be sort of dismantling the display. And I thought, I said, what's happening to those? And they said, I don't know. And I said, well, could I buy them? And they said, I don't know. We'll go and check. And I bought them. In fact, I bought 3. I couldn't fit the third one in this house. I had 3 in my last house. But I've also painted those over the years.
Have
Because they
you?
were a sort of verdigris, kind of almost bluish metal. And now they're cream. So I painted them just to fit in with all different places.
Do you find yourself changing things quite frequently? Do you get bored easily of the things around your home?
I do. I change the arrangement more than the actual things.
Right.
As you can see, I've stayed quite loyal to my stuff. But I tend to mix up what I display on the units, where I might put the chaise longue, change the rooms around. Yeah, I do, because it keeps it fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I need to ask you about the Radio Times piece on your wall
Yes.
in the kitchen. You were floating in soup? Did you
Yes.
say chicken soup?
Yes.
What's the chicken soup?
Well, that's my
reference?
ancestral soul food, isn't it? I'm Jewish from a Jewish family, and we're a Jewish family, and so obviously, I seduced Ben with my chicken soup. That was how I did it. Yes, and my daughter said that she came home. I think they were still at home in those days when I first met him. We've been together 16 years now, but my daughter said she came in, and there was Ben just sitting at the kitchen table, just eating chicken soup in a kind of a stupor. She said about 2 hours later she went out. He was still at the kitchen table, still eating chicken soup. And I think she came back about midnight. He was still there. So the chicken soup went over really big. The thing is, he's always annoyed because I've never made as much for him since that moment. But it served its purpose.
You'd sealed the deal by that
Exactly.
point.
Now I didn't need to make it again, did I? There he was, and that was it.
What's your secret recipe?
I'm not telling you. I'd have to kill you. I'm sorry.
Really?
Don't even ask me that. Don't go there. Do not go there. This
it'd
is
be
really
cheeky. I'd
no.
slip it
I'm
in.
sorry. That's too cheeky. And
It'd be a great headline.
Can't tell you. Sorry.
It was such a reference I had not heard you speak about before, but now it makes total sense. So when they did that Radio Times piece, did they ask you what you wanted to have featured in that?
I think I gave the interview. It was to the late Clement Freud, actually.
Okay.
You know, father of Emma Freud, and I think he did the interview with me, and then he must have given the copy to the sort of artist or cartoonist, and they must have come up with this idea of me floating in an enormous swimming pool of chicken soup.
Amazing.
And so I was able to buy the original. I was able to buy the actual work of art.
That's the original.
That's
on
the
your
original.
wall.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Wow. Yes.
Oh, so lovely that you can hold on to those things. And alongside that, you've got a lot of pictures of your beautiful daughters and your beautiful family. I'd say family means a lot to you, right?
An awful lot. I mean, some people think that you shouldn't display too many pictures, but I'm not sure why.
I've heard
I
this.
don't know, where does that
weird
rule
house
come
rule.
from? I don't
Yes.
get it. Like, it's vulgar or it's like ostentatious or it's something, but they're my kids. I love them.
Yeah.
What do I want to look at? I want to look at my grandbabies, don't I?
And your beautiful granddaughter, is it Neroli?
Neroli.
Neroli, beautiful name.
As in the essential oil of oranges. You know, and it's in lots of perfume, Neroli.
Yes, it is.
Neroli oil,
She made that beautiful collage piece for you.
Yes.
Was that for a birthday present?
That was for my last birthday, which was a few weeks ago, which was I know I look like a walking miracle and everyone's going to faint with shock, but my 60th, oh my God, I know. Ridiculously old, isn't it?
No.
I am so shocked. I just can't even believe it. Can't believe this is happening to me at all. I was the youngest at everything. I did everything first. I was a year ahead at school. I meant to have that extra year somewhere. What happened to that year ahead? All of a sudden, I'm 60. It's like, oh, for God's sake. But actually, much ruder language, which I wouldn't use when sponsored by Primark, obviously. If I was sponsored by a different company, I might say something ruder, but I wouldn't say that now. But 60, bloody damn beep is how I feel about it. God's sake. So in shock. So, yeah, she made that for my birthday, my big birthday. Yes.
Did you have a big birthday bash? I feel like
had
you would.
a fabulous dinner in a gorgeous hotel in London.
Oh,
It's
gorge.
called the Bloomsbury Hotel, and it's got this terrace called the Dalloway Terrace. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's so beautiful. It's all beautifully lit with wonderful flowers and gorgeous and romantic, and it's kind of outside, but it's covered. And yeah, I thought I'd invited 22, but actually I seem to have invited 26 who all had to be squashed in. But it was a kind of elegant dinner with drinks first in the Coral Lounge. It was really lovely. I had a lovely time.
I love that.
Yeah. But Ben and I are planning a joint 110th. Yeah, because he's about to be 50.
No.
He's
What's
going to be
the
50.
plans?
Well, the first
Come
plan
on.
is to get rid of him because he's too old for a toy boy now. So the first thing is just to say, mate, I don't know, definitely outstage your welcome as a toy boy. At 50, it's absurd. But we're having a big party. We're having it at the London Cabaret Club in Bloomsbury Square,
I've seen
which is beautiful.
that.
Have you been
Yeah,
there?
I've
It's
seen
a gorgeous
it.
building. It's really beautiful. And I think Ben's going to organise everyone who's ever known in the whole of showbiz to come and perform and stuff.
Oh, great.
And I think we're going to have a great time, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be
Yeah, so that's going to be a big old bash, that one.
Yeah, I've always said.
I wouldn't use that in the
110.
branding.
You're right, maybe not. You're right, you're absolutely right.
Now, you're famous for your word of the day,
Yeah.
but I want to know what word you'd use to describe your home.
Oh, what would I use to describe my home? Rococo, maybe? Heavily over-decorated and ornate. Yeah, maybe Rococo would that do.
Rococo,
Yes,
I like
Rococo
that.
style, yeah.
But it is what I love about your home, though. You've got all of those personal touches, and you can tell that it is distinctly yours. And so many homes that you go around, there isn't really much of a sort of soul to it.
Well, certainly when I was decorating it, my builders and decorators, they all said, gosh, they were really enjoying it because they could splash on colour here, they could do something vivid there.
Great.
And I said, why? What do you normally do? And they said, well, there's an awful lot of beige, awful lot of grey, there's an awful lot of minimalism, there's an awful lot of, kind of that industrial chic, which is basically nothing much at all. And they said that they were just loving being able to let loose and go crazy because lots of people don't fancy it. Now, it could well be they just don't want to, but it could be that they lack the confidence to.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of a shame because if you're absolutely mad about about, for example, emerald green.
Yeah.
You know, green's the colour to be seen. I think make it green if you want it to be green.
I remember having this conversation with my mum because when I moved into my flat, I put pineapple wallpaper up, and first thing she said, "Oh, you'll never sell it." And I was like, "I don't care though. I'm not selling it now. I want to walk into my living room and see pineapples because I love pineapples and it looks great."
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It's a confidence thing. It's this attitude of being like, "Oh, you can't, like, you know, that's too." Like,
I once had a house years ago, and as you came in the entrance, it was all painted to look like a sort of crumbling castle.
Oh, wow.
And there were cobwebs, and there were little mice, and there was graffiti.
Love
and
it.
there was all sorts of things. And my mother came in, so you've just reminded me of the story, and she said, "Oh my gosh, have it painted a nice peach." Over this beautiful, incredible sort of trompe-l'oeil kind of mural.
It took ages to paint so someone sweated over it.
And that's when I thought, mate, mum, God, you know, I actually now suddenly realised what she wanted. And she wanted it to look exactly like everyone else's. Not better.
No.
Not more interesting. Not more sort of intriguing. Not just the same.
Yeah.
And I want to be the same.
Is that a generation thing though? Is that from her generation maybe?
It's tremendous conformism, isn't it? Not doing anything that anyone might notice or anyone might comment on or anyone. But I haven't done it for effect. It's my house.
what you
You know,
love.
nobody has to like it except me
Yeah.
and the people I invite over. And, you know, I'm not doing it so that people notice it. I'm doing it because it gives me pleasure and it cheers me. And definitely, I love colour.
Yes.
And I really do. And I love something vibrant.
Yeah.
And I love something kind of unusual. I like something interesting. And I like it to be very comfortable, obviously. I don't want to be, you know, sitting on incredibly uncomfortable chairs for the sake of it. Not that. But, you know, I'm not trying to show off and I'm not trying to prove a point. No. It's just, you know, you get to know what you like after a certain time and that's what you want. That's simple as that.
It is the perfect home to lean into that maximalist like aesthetics. You've got those amazing windows in your bedroom and it just sort of carries on that theme of a home with so much soul and so much feeling.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, exactly. But also comfortable, relaxing.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be on your best behaviour.
Yeah.
I haven't got tables you can't lean on or eat off. I haven't got chairs you mustn't sit on. My mum used to have a friend and they had a chair with an actual rope over it to stop people sitting on it because it's very expensive. They didn't want it to get dirty, you know, that kind of thing. So I haven't got that. You know, you can have dinner on a tray on the sofa in the living room while watching telly.
Yeah.
You know, I usually do take my shoes off when I come in, but I wouldn't be precious about anyone else doing that. I just want people to enjoy. That's all.
So you mentioned earlier when you invite people round, who is often coming round? Who do you love having round for dinner? I mean, you've got a little black book of a who's who and people we know and recognise. Who would you say is the most famous person you've had round for dinner in your wonderful
that would
abode?
be name dropping in the most appalling sort of a way.
Come on.
Well, my last party, I suppose, Judge Rinder was there.
Oh, great.
Oh, what a party.
Is he a good dinner guest?
Superb.
Yeah, I can
He
imagine.
is superb.
Good chat.
He is a stellar guest.
Is he?
He's incredibly funny.
Yeah.
He's incredibly clever.
So quick
He's
as well.
incredibly nice, which is a really unusual combination. Nice, funny, and clever. Imagine that. That's really rare. You normally get two of the three, not all three. He's absolutely brilliant company. He's brilliant.
Brilliant.
At the same thing, I had Christopher Biggins was there.
amazing.
Annika Rice was there. Sarah Cox was there.
She's great.
Who else was
I
there?
knew you would have a great dinner.
Yeah, Anthea Turner was there. You know, because we were both in the Big Brother house
Yes, you
together.
were.
So obviously she was there. You know, and all my real friends and real family and the people who are my real, you know, part of my real life. Everybody was there. So and everyone mixed in and everyone had to go. Oh, Benjamin Zephaniah was there. Do you know Benjamin Zephaniah, the poet? You know, incredibly gifted and amazingly talented poet. He was there.
So you
I
basically
had Mr. Cabs from Flawless teaching everyone a particular dance.
Amazing.
So that was great.
I was just about to say, you're taking all the kind of areas that you want for a party. So you've got the comedian, the poet, you know, you've got the dance instructor
That's
giving the
right.
choreography.
Exactly.
We've got a chef. Imagine
I
there must
have
be a
a
chef
chef
or a
there.
cocktail maker.
I don't know. It'll be throughout the conversation. I'll suddenly think of other people who were there.
Yeah. Sarah Cox brings the music.
Sarah Cox brings the music.
Yeah.
No, she's great. I don't know. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head, but it wasn't bad for one. Oh, I know. What should we call it? Michelle Heaton was there.
Oh, fab.
Yeah, she's a good friend. She's a good
She's
pal.
doing-
She fell down the stairs. And I was thinking, please don't die. Just don't die. Please don't break a limb. Don't let this whole party be about an ambulance, for God's sake. And luckily, she was able to scrape herself up off the floor, and somehow, I don't know how she did it, but she survived, thank God.
Well, it's a good job you don't have some sort of weird, trendy concrete staircase because that would have been an absolute nightmare.
No, that would have been bad. You're quite right. Yeah.
Is there anyone that hasn't been round your house that you are desperate to get over for a party at some point?
Wow, that's a good question.
If you could have anyone.
I suppose it's that boring thing of Michelle Obama. Everybody always says that. But I do think she'd be a great guest. I would like to have her around. But I think she'd accept if I invited her. I just haven't got around to inviting her.
Yeah, of course.
I think she would accept. I think she would.
I think she'd have a good time.
Anyone on the list of absolutely no way they're ever going to be invited
Madonna,
round?
her behaviour's appalling. Absolutely appalling. I interviewed her on the Big Breakfast bed, and she was honestly, you know how most women in particular, but also lots of people are, people pleasers. They want you to like them. They smile when you come in. They're trying to be nice. I love this. And when I was on the Big Breakfast bed, you had the biggest stars in the world on the bed. Goldie Hawn, Charlton Heston, Kurt Russell, Jeff Goldblum, all the big names in the world were on that bed. And usually they're like, was I okay? Was it all right? And you're like, mate, you're Goldie Hawn. Do you really care? And the answer was, yeah, they did care. They wanted it to be good. They wanted you to like them. They wanted to get on with people. Danny DeVito, bought presents for everybody, chocolates. And, people were nice. Madonna.
No. Didn't care.
No. Kept me waiting 7.5 hours.
What?
Didn't apologise. And not just me, because it was a massive junket. And we had our Big Breakfast bed set up in a special sort of alcove to do the interview. And the longer she kept everyone waiting, the more bosses from the Big Breakfast arrived to kind of supervise this interview. At the beginning, it was meant to be 18 minutes, went down to 13, it went down to 11, more bosses arrived, there was more heat on the event, it was more and more worrying, because it had been trailed endlessly. Anyway, eventually she showed up, honestly, about 7.5 to 8 hours late. And she was in a horrible mood. And it was only to flog her flipping film, Evita. It wasn't like, we were talking about something incredibly, important that I wanted to talk about. And she was so sniffy and difficult. And she looked so bad-tempered. And I just thought, mate. And I said, you don't seem as if you really want to do this. I said, well, I really don't. I said, well, listen, we don't have to talk about your film. I said, we can talk about anything, politics, literature, shopping, whatever you like. She said, oh, shopping. I said, great. We talked about shopping, we talked about breastfeeding, we talked about all sorts. And in the end, Channel 4 sent me a big bouquet of flowers because I did a good job under difficult circumstances. But she did not help, let's put it that way. So I'm not going to invite her to Feltz Towers anytime soon.
Is that the nickname?
Feltz Towers? Yeah, but she's not coming. I know she wants to, but don't beg me, Madonna. It's not a good look. On you, it's not a good look.
Okay, Madonna's not coming around. Anyone else that's making the no list?
No, only her. Only Madonna.
Right, I love that. I was worried about asking that question, but I love that you just came forward straight away with Madonna. And
shouldn't have behaved like that. She didn't want me to tell that story, did she?
Exactly. Would you say that when you were growing up, you were in a house that was very loud and you all were open to being able to air your opinions and whatnot? Or?
Yes, pretty much. I would say I grew up in a house where effectively my father owned all the emotions.
Okay.
My father had all emotions. Okay. And we were more the audience for his emotions. Okay. He felt grief, he felt joy, he felt that he really should have been a bigger contender. Yeah. He felt that he was just thwarted in the underwear business and really should have been I don't know what the hell he thought he should have been, a swashbuckling hero. And we were all just like, yay, absolutely, Daddy, we love you, you're marvellous. And my mother would say, look at your father. Isn't he handsome? Look at your father, girls. Look at your father. We'd be like, oh, Dad, Dad, you look so great. You are great. So there was a lot of that going on. So I'd say that the loudness mainly came from my father. Yeah. And it was mainly, I am dazzling. I am exquisite. Look at me. Look how great I am. And we were mainly like, you're great, Dad.
I like this celebration though because
is that weird? That's
no,
weird,
I don't think it's weird because I like this
weird for Primark. Is that a bit strange? No, but that's the truth. What can I do?
I like what you said there about the celebration because I feel like you really, really celebrate your daughters and your grandchildren. Like this, they're in every part of that video that we saw of your home tour. There's something you talk about first in the point of conversation you have. So that's obviously something that's continued down of this celebration of each other, I'd say. Or like
I hope it's a bit different in my incarnation of it. I hope they're allowed to have thoughts and emotions of their own. Okay. I hope that they're allowed to be the star of their own life, not me just hogging all of the limelight of everybody else's life. So I've tried, when I say I've tried not to be like my father, it's not really true. I haven't had to try, luckily. I'm not really, that wouldn't be my inclination to be like that, to own everything and not give anyone else a chance to feel anything or have a chance to express anything. Not that. But do I celebrate my grandchildren and my girls? I really do. And I'm really lucky because my girls, Allegra and Saskia, they're now ridiculously old, 36 and 33. One is a tax lawyer. The other is she's a teacher, but now she's a child therapist in the sort of state system. But that doesn't matter. They are so nice. They're such good company. They're good fun. They're charming. They're kind. They're really pretty. They're really great. And I just love hanging out with them. And I really, really feel that if they weren't my kids, I would love to be their friends.
Yes.
You know, I really, really love them and
That's
love being with
great.
them. Yeah. And as for the grandbabies, oh my God. Oh God. So I said when the grandchildren were born, I was sure I was going to be able to breastfeed. I said I was sure that as soon as they were born, I would just like the milk would just come in from love. It would just have. Obviously, I was slightly joking, and obviously I couldn't. But what I'm saying is the love is just overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous how much I love them. It's just absurd. It's just I like. Oh my God! If I don't see them for a day and a half, I'm going absolutely crazy. I'm like, God, what's happened?
Yeah.
Why have you forsaken me? Let me come around immediately, right instantly. And you know they're very different. I've got two grandsons, one 8 and one 3, and a granddaughter who's 6. And they're all, they're all individual human beings with thoughts and feelings. And I just like to get to know them and hang out with them. And I can't, as soon as they were born, I just could not see the point ever going anywhere nice or doing anything nice without them.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel now. I still feel like why would I go on holiday without them?
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Why would I want to do that?
Spend time.
Well, I just wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to be like, this is the sea and they're not here. What's the point? So I like to just schlep them along wherever I go.
Great.
And to that end, I bought a house in Ireland, in Ballycotton, so in East Cork, right on the Atlantic Ocean. And we all go together. And that's my idea of absolute heaven. Yeah. So we do lots of that.
Would you say you're the go-to grandma within
I
the
hope
family?
I'm the fairy grandmother. Is
The
what
fairy
I'm hoping
grandmother.
to be.
Yeah, I love
Are
that.
there ever any bribes involved with the grandchildren?
I think they're very
What do you mean?
honourable. What, bribing them to hang out with me? No, I don't think so. I think they're very honourable kids. I don't think they'd take to being bribed.
You're right.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't think they'd like it. I think if they didn't want to do something, they'd say so. I hope so. Anyway, I don't
Yeah.
think you could just kind of force them to do something they didn't want to do by bribing them. So no, I'm not bribing them, but I hope to entertain them.
Yeah.
And in fact, I went to Rome a couple of weekends ago with Allegra, my daughter, and Nerily, who's 6, and it was their birthday present to me for my 60th. And I said to Nerily, who's 6, I said, right, it's girls on tour. I said, we can
Great.
be anyone we want to be. We can be air hostesses. We can be American. She was just looking at me like, what? We can be American? We can be air? I said, we can be anything we want to be. What happens in Rome stays in Rome. Well, she's never heard that. She's only 6. She's like, Anyway, then my suitcase went missing.
Oh, no.
And it didn't turn up till late the second night. Anyway, when it did, I rushed towards my suitcase, which I was delighted to see. And I said, come to Mama. And Nerily said, Grandma's really funny, isn't she? I think suddenly she saw the humour in the whole thing. She liked the fact that I said, come to Mama, to the suitcase. This really tickled her to death. So she gets me. She thinks I'm funny, and that's all I really want from them, isn't it?
It sounds like you've got a little protege in the
Yeah,
making,
she's
to be
gorgeous.
honest.
They're all gorgeous.
So when you have the family around, is there any peace and quiet? Or are you all like chipping and love it? Yeah.
Loud, noisy, busy.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, singing karaoke,
Yeah.
playing chess, all sorts of stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
And to the public, you're obviously Vanessa Feltz, but at home and to family, you're Feltzy. And is there a bit of a different?
That's Ben.
Is there?
That's the thing.
Is it
That's
just
Ben.
him?
Well, the girls call me mummy, the kids call me grandma. He
Okay.
calls me Feltzy.
Okay.
But really, he used to call me Young Veezy. I think maybe I've just got too old to be Young Veezy anymore, which would be tragic. He was Young Veezy and I was Young Veezy,
He has started starring in some of your Instagram videos I've noticed recently. Does he like getting involved with that?
Yeah, I mean, I needed him at the beginning because I never even had a smartphone till the pandemic.
Oh, really?
I had an £8 Nokia.
How did you both meet? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh,
You've been
that's a
together
long
16
old story.
years.
That's Keith Duffy from Boyzone. He was in the first ever Celebrity Big Brother with me, and he's a really good friend of Ben's. And he said, "Oh, you'd really like Vanessa." And we were both fixed up with other people, and we just said hi, and that was it. We bumped into each other a few years later, and then eventually got together, and we've been together 16 years. Yeah. So we say it's all Keith Duffy's
And you're very
fault.
open about your relationship and keeping the passion alive and whatnot. I love that. You're
Passion. Yeah. Well, what's the point? Otherwise, he's not my brother.
No.
There'll be some
Thank
passion.
goodness.
Thank God. So there's got to be some passion, and you've got to keep it alive.
Yeah.
I think so.
How do you go about doing that?
Well, I think you keep it at the forefront so that it doesn't get put on the back burner. So that so there is something, and I would call it like a sexual climate.
Yeah.
There's a kind of feeling between you. There's some kind of frisson. There's some kind of, I don't know, touching of hands or pinching of bottoms or some kind of a thing, some kind of saucy texting or something, just so that you remind each other that was what the whole point of it was in the first place, or at least one of the main points of it all, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many people sort of forget to do those things and sort of slip into a bit of a life where there is no excitement anymore?
I think it's very easy to do, actually. I think, first of all, there's the chase, and then eventually you have to be caught if you're in a relationship, and then there is no chase, and then the person becomes like part of the furniture, and you don't every day say, oh my God, I love my sofa, I love it, let me stroke it. It's just there, it's your sofa, you're not going to get excited every time you see it. And it's a similar kind of a thing. They literally become part of the furniture. It's not that you don't love them, it's not that you don't like them, it's the whole fancying thing takes a little bit of revving up, I think. You've got to rev it up a bit. And it's not that it's an effort, but it does, I think, need to be factored in. It needs to be something that is part of the things that you do. And if you don't, it can all just suddenly or gradually kind of evaporate, really. And I think that's terribly sad. And it's all about remembering what you liked about them in the first. Sometimes when you see someone in a different guise, you suddenly fancy them again. Like when I see Ben on stage, when he's performing, it's fabulous. And there are women throwing their knickers at him, and I'm one of them. We've been together 16 years, but I suddenly remember, I see him in that guise. You think, oh my God, she fancies him, and I fancy, it's that kind of a thing. And sometimes just seeing them in different contexts. That's why people's sex life usually revs up on holiday. Suddenly you're in a different context. You might be reading a book that's a bit saucy. You've got a bit more time. Maybe you're drinking a bit more. All those components that make you suddenly look at them and think, oh, okay.
Will he be performing a number at the 110th party?
I should think it'd be difficult to stop him. He's sung that song at bar mitzvahs all over northwest London. It's been a big hit. So yeah.
I need to ask you, because we've both seen each other in the building at a very, very early time. We both do early breakfast.
Yes.
How do you cope? How does he cope with the early mornings in the arm? What do you do in that situation?
How does he cope? He's asleep. He doesn't
Does he
cope at all.
sleep?
I mean, how does he cope?
Yeah,
he goes fine with a great big snore and he rolls over and that's the end of that. He goes, what about how I cope?
You are the busiest woman, because you not only do the early breakfast, then you do your breakfast show, and then you go on to do this morning a few times. Like, when do you sleep?
Well, that's the whole thing. I don't know, and it is all a bit rough. I mean, people do say, particularly on Instagram, how do you do it and how do you do it? And the answer is, I feel exactly the same as anybody else would feel. Knackered, jet lagged. But I love the job. I love actually doing it. It's terrific fun doing it. It's the way that it affects the rest of your life that is a bit of a downer. I especially don't like and have never got used to and really detest having to be Cinderella and kind of go home on my own halfway through everything. I really hate that.
You have to be a bit antisocial, don't you?
But I'm not, though. I'm really sociable. I don't like it. I don't like leave. I'm always having to leave before the dessert, which is my favourite part of everything. I don't leave before the bloody chocolate mousse. I always have to leave before they win the award or get the prize or sing the song. I've already had to leave. And Ben does not come with me lots of the time. And I have to go home on my own in a taxi or something. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So that's the big downside, I'd say.
Well, I remember we went to the opera. We bumped into each other at the opera, didn't we? And I ducked out just before the second half.
I ducked out as well.
Well, yeah, we both had the,
we were right,
the kind
we
of
were
friendship.
Justified,
Yeah,
weren't
we'd watched the first half, and we were like, if we watch the second half, that's it. We're done.
I always think if I was already asleep, I'm always lying there in my pajamas, and I'd only have 3.5 hours, but I'm not asleep. I'm here at some venue in the West End. I'm not even at home. Oh my God. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough, but it's a privilege to do this job. So you have to kind of remind yourself of that, really.
Yeah, very true. You are also known as an agony aunt. You've just given us wonderful advice there about keeping sex life alive. And we like to do a bit of a game with our guests.
Okay.
And tuning into your agony aunt wisdom, we're going to put to you some agony aunt problems, and we would like your advice.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Shall I kick off?
Yeah, when you go.
This is from Lil Miss Kiss and Tell. Okay. So Lil Miss Kiss and Tell writes, I've been in a happy relationship for 3 years. I recently moved into a new flat and really fancy my new housemate. So much so that we've kissed.
Is that you?
It's...
Shocked. I'm shocked. I'm horrified. I'm absolutely horrified. Carry on.
It's now awkward in my flat and in my relationship. What do I do? That's from Lil Miss Kiss and Tell, not George Lawton.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Well, only Little Miss Kiss and Tell will know whether the preference is for the relationship person or the flatmate person. And is it worth losing the relationship to really go for it with a flatmate person? Is the flatmate really into it, or is the flatmate just up for a fleeting snog and isn't really in for the long haul? That kind of a thing. I would say, in fairness to both, it's a matter of making a choice. I don't think it's nice to string along a person that you're in a relationship with while you're secretly fumbling about with somebody you're not in a relationship with. I think that's deceitful and not very nice, and everyone ends up unhappy. So I don't fancy that. So I think if I were Miss Kiss and Tell, I would decide between the two. But I wouldn't decide on the flatmate if the flatmate isn't up for a relationship.
Yeah, that's going to leave you.
Does an honest conversation need to happen between the two of them?
Yes, I wouldn't jettison a completely good relationship for a fumbly flatmate that you've only had one snog with. Unless actually you're sick to death of being in a relationship and would really rather fumble with lots of strangers, in which case...
Which is fine.
In which case, end the relationship and don't string along the poor old relationship. That's what I
Very
do.
sound advice. Grumpy Mum asks, my teenage daughter has recently begun a relationship with a boy that I don't like. He's rude and always helps himself to the food in my fridge. I don't want to upset her, but don't want him in my house. What would you do?
Oh, very difficult, because the more you criticise the boyfriend, the more in general you drive the daughter into the the outstretched arms of the boyfriend.
Really?
So this is really difficult. I definitely don't think it's on to walk into somebody's house and start opening the fridge and taking food out. I think that is just rude and just disrespectful. So I think you say, and maybe you even write, house rules. And stick them on the fridge. House rules, nobody delves into this fridge without permission first, or something like that. Maybe you can make it humorous so it doesn't seem quite so antagonistic. But I think you also say the thing that my mum used to say to me, to the daughter, which is, now look, you think you like this guy, but would you behave like that? Would you walk into his mother's kitchen, open the fridge and start scooping out the food? Would you behave in the disrespectful way that I heard him behave to you, to me, to everybody else that he goes anywhere near? And if you wouldn't do it, why would you countenance it in him? This isn't on, is it really, to be with somebody? And also try and scroll forward a few years. How are you going to feel if he behaves like that in front of potential children or people that you care about? So do you want to be with this loutish, boorish, churlish beat that I can't stand? Don't do it, is what you want to say, but don't say it like that.
No, because I like that.
Very delicately phrased. Yeah. One more, I think.
Okay.
It's from If the Walls Could Talk. And they say, I work from home and my new neighbours are very passionate.
Oh gosh, this is always happening on This Morning. We always get this one.
Really?
Yeah, this is a real life problem that comes in all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a post-lockdown theme.
All the time. Yeah. Go on, finish.
If they're not arguing, they're making up.
Yeah.
It's so loud that it's been noticed on work calls.
Right. Now, the reason that this is difficult is that you think that you could say to them, listen, your intimate life is obviously delightful. I hope that you realise that everyone can hear it, so you might want to turn it down a bit. But there's always the problem that they may really get turned on by that. And it may be they're purposely doing it, hoping that everyone can hear. And if you tell them that everyone can hear, it just makes them do it more and more because they're just so aroused at the idea of everyone listening. So this is the problem here. This is why this is a delicate one.
I hadn't even thought of that.
A delicate one. You could buy yourself some headphones. You could move out. Or you could just try to ramp up your own sex life so that you drown them out with your own climactic moments of joy. That's what I think you should do.
Join in remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Exactly.
Okay, well, you mentioned house rules there in our agony aunt. We've got over. Thank you for that sound advice. Do you have any house rules within your house?
I think everyone has to be polite to everyone else, and everyone has to give everyone else a chance to talk and feel and think, and nobody has to override or sort of, walk all over anyone else. But luckily, I don't really ever have to impose house rules. I think I wouldn't ask anyone into my house if I didn't rate them and think that they were decent and nice. Yeah. So luckily, it's Liberty Hall at Feltz Towers, really.
Oh,
Feltz Towers. I love that it's called Feltz Towers.
Now, we do ask each of our guests to bring in a special item, something that means something to them from their home. And I think you've brought something in for us too.
Well, this is something that I don't really need to bring because it's my handbag that I carry absolutely everywhere, and it's got my grandbabies on it. So you can see Zeke here, he's 8, and this is Nerily, who's 6, and this is AJ, he's 3. Yeah, and
They've all got beautiful names.
Thank you. AJ is really called Amiel.
Amiel.
Yes, which means people of God in Hebrew. Yes.
Did you have that bag made?
Yeah, my girls always get them for me. So it's brilliant because it's every birthday, every Christmas, everything. Updated. And also when the kids grow, I get a new bag.
Great.
I think it's called Bags of Love. And I think you can just get it on the internet or something. But it's great, and I've kept all the other ones. So the very first one has just got Zeke as a tiny new baby.
Oh,
yeah, they're really, and it's really the only bag I can be bothered to carry most of the time.
But good size though, fits everything in.
Yeah, it's really good.
When you're doing 5 jobs
Normally
a
I
day.
have a frozen chicken in there, but I haven't today. I'll tell you what I have got. I've got this very sweet photo book that Allegra had made for me, and that's the weekend I was telling you about
Rome.
in Rome. Yes. So that's Girls on Tour.
Girls on Tour. What happens in Rome stays in Rome.
Exactly.
I love that.
So fab time.
Yeah.
Now, we do also want to know what it is that home really means to you. If you were to sum up what it was about home that makes it feel like a home, what is that for you?
I think safety, comfort, security. Lovely smell of my secret chicken soup simmering on the hearth, and I can't reveal it to you. I'm so sorry. That was sneaky, and you didn't succeed. No.
Rubbish.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on All Round Mine. I feel like we've been round to your house and had a cuppa with you, and I can smell the chicken soup simmering in the background. And I've just loved learning about your family and about your gorgeous home and your parties and your guests. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I love my lovely outfit.
Yeah, it looks like Sicilian. It looks very Italian, like you just got it from Rome.
Love it.
And I hope we're not going to be put on the same list as Madonna next time you go to party.
Definitely not. I'll put you at the top of the
Great,
list.
excellent.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thanks.